Tommy Sigman. And I love it. I was just reading 8,000 books.
Yeah, about 8,000.
Wow.
Thank you.
Dude, that's killer.
Thank you.
And you just turned 18 how long ago?
October 31st, Halloween.
October 31st. What'd you do for your birthday?
I had a little Halloween party. We dressed up, and I had fake tattoos, and we made like
You
brain
get a real
cake.
tattoo ever or no?
Probably something really small. I don't know, something small and unnoticeable, just where I know I have a tattoo.
On your ankle? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, don't do
So
that.
I'm like a teardrop.
Teardrop on your eye, yeah. Doesn't that mean you murdered somebody?
Yeah, they're probably not that then.
Yeah, no, don't do that.
Maybe like a rainbow or like a piece or something.
That's awesome. Well, they'll be after you then, for sure.
All right, the podcast is going to start
Now. That part might get edited out. No, I'm just kidding. No, but yeah, man. So how did you, so 8,000 books, and you've done the interview about the book, I'm sure, a bunch already, so you kind of know the way to say it, but I heard one thing, I didn't really enjoy writing it. Was that just you were just not interested in writing a book at that time?
No, I don't know. I've never really been passionate about school or writing. I don't know. I've always seen myself as kind of entrepreneurial, but just writing was not very exciting to me.
Yeah.
At first it was. When I first started writing, I was going through a lot, and it was a good way to like emotionally relieve myself. But after that little bit, once I kind of started feeling better, I was just like, okay, this is boring. I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah. How do you feel now that there's 8,000 of them out there?
Now I feel a lot better about it. Now I'm pumped.
And it was a nice little extra paycheck, I'm sure, or something to make you some money.
Helped me buy my first car.
Wow.
At 18. So
kids, if you're listening and you want to figure out how to make some money, how to create money, writing a book is one way to do it.
And I have friends that they were like, oh, I need to make an income source. And I'm like, oh, I work at Cane's. I'm like, do you go write a book? And they're like, I'm not a foster kid. I don't have anything to write a book about. And I'm like, dude,
that's not true.
Dude, you are so passionate about, running. Like, I was on the track team and cross-country team. Like, dude, you are so passionate and good about running. Yeah. And running brings so many lessons and so much wisdom with it, and just so much, persistence and determination that comes with that. You could write a book specifically off the lessons that you learned from running and target it to the running community. And make a book and income that will blow your income from Cane's and McDonald's out the water.
Right, exactly.
And, I think everyone should write a book.
Well, so... I think you self-published the book, right?
Yes, sir.
So did you have to raise money to create the original manuscript or create the original book, the first one that you could sell, or was it a order as you go kind of? Do they offer those services where you don't have to print a bunch in advance?
Well, what most authors do is most authors pre-order. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to say something on your podcast that I've never said on anyone else's podcast.
Oh, ding, 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 ding. Hang on, let me get some sound effects. No, just kidding. We'll do that post.
But I've never said this on another podcast because I wasn't 18, so I wasn't allowed to say this. Okay. But now that I'm 18, I'm hoping it's not going to be as big of a deal anymore. But I wasn't allowed to publish my book because of foster care. Foster care said that I wasn't allowed to publish it, and it was a big ordeal. And I had to go secretly self-publish it, and I couldn't take pre-orders or anything like that. It was a thing of okay, I'm not supposed to publish it.
I bet that's a funding thing, because whoever's funding you, whoever's funding your well-being, your housing, your food, when you start stepping into nonprofits, I know this obviously, when you start looking at grants and what's required of you in those grants, there's certain restrictions that come with that. And but I'm wondering, because it's an intellectual property, the same goes here as this organization. When we create songs with people, part of that creation process and the agreement that participant does is they sign a waiver where that intellectual property, i.e. your book, your manuscript, would now belong to Songs of Survivors. And so anything you create as a teenager, foster care really has to walk very fine line on you being what your intellectual properties, how those ownerships, and so they probably just didn't want to deal with it.
Well, what the real issue is that I'm sure that was certainly part of it.
I'll shut up.
I'm sure that definitely plays a big factor into it. But
Yeah.
the real issue is there's a lot of confidentiality laws around foster kids because a lot of let's say a foster parent posts a foster kid on Facebook and the real parent just got out of jail or something. It's like, oh, that's my kid. I'm gonna go get him and pick him up. Because a lot of foster kids have a lot of messed up parents and situations.
Right.
But for me, so foster kids have confidentiality laws to prevent stuff like that from happening. So like a foster parent could never say post that I'm anything about me being a foster kid. Like no adult could say, oh, I'm a foster kid on any media, any Facebook or social media, anything like that because of those confidentiality laws. Well, I was exposing my own confidentiality at a rate to where everyone was reposting it. Like I would post, I'm a book where in the cover it says foster care, and we had like 1,000 shares, and everyone's posting on me being a foster kid, and the state's like, you can't do this. And so the issue kind of became, it was kind of unprecedented of can a foster kid promote his own confidentiality? Like, can he go do that himself? Exploit. Thank you.
It's all good.
Or it's or they were kind of saying, okay, well, we're like the parent in a sense because we're foster care.
And there is, as you're an incredible, well-spoken, very put together young man.
Thank you.
The system is set up to probably protect a lot of children who may not be in their best bet or best interests to put themselves out there, and it might be from a safety standpoint. So I think there's the other side of it, but I also think that I totally get it from a constitutionality standpoint. If I were to think legally, how do you feel? And that's where I was thinking about the legal side. And again, going back to confidentiality, their CYA is what that's called.
Yeah.
Cover your ass as we start over. You're gonna beat that out. 18. Oh yeah, you're 18. I can say that.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And that's just a donkey.
Yeah. I completely understand why they did it. Like I'm not even upset with them for doing it because the book was still published and it's still out there. And
that's just because you're a determined son of a gun and you ain't gonna let them hold you back.
They told me I had to wait till I was 18 or emancipated to publish it.
Or what?
That's what.
Or what?
They're
not gonna feed you. They're not going to support you.
I told
financially.
I told him I wouldn't publish it if I felt that I was going to be in any trouble with the law, or if I had any judicial document brought into me saying I couldn't publish it. But I never had a court order. I never had any document saying you can't publish this. I just had we're your parents, so we said no. So I pulled well, I'm a teenager, so I'm gonna go against my parents, and anyways, they
was this the system or was this your actual step?
This was the system.
Foster parents.
My foster parents were like,
do it.
They were like, we don't want you to get in trouble. We're not gonna tell you what to do. You can't handle this how you want.
Yeah.
So they looked on Facebook a week later, and they saw me me at a signing at my school where I think we signed and sold about 200 copies. We had 300 to 500 people from school and staff and community.
That's cool.
And so my social worker said she got a call from her supervisor basically saying what the F do we do now? It's
right.
And it was on Barnes & Noble's, iTunes, Walmart, every retail site.
So who submitted to all those distribution contracts?
I did.
So legally, you actually don't have the right to do that, and that's interesting that Barnes & Noble still distributed your product not being did you tell them you were 18?
I mean, it was on the cover.
That's true. It's I actually wrote it on the cover of the book. Yeah. But I wonder, so did you go through a website? Because I know with music, we do CD Baby.
So I went through a distributor. So I went through a distributor, and the distributor actually put it out there for me. So it might have been a contract between the distributor. I don't think I had to be 18 to actually distribute it through them. I don't know.
Again, intellectual property right stuff is what I'm getting into.
Yeah.
So and as a teenager, you can't legally sign for yourself into a contract, not in the United States, from my understanding. And I may be totally wrong. So if I'm wrong, somebody can correct me in the comments and I'll shut up. But my thoughts are if my kid goes out there and wants to be on The Voice, for instance, and says, hey, I'm doing this against my parents' will, The Voice is liable for that. So that makes Amazon, Barnes & Noble's liable, and foster system could have sued them for financial reasons. And now not against you, and of course it affects you. But that's my lawyer sense thinking.
Well, they would have had to sue iTunes, Barnes & Noble's, Walmart, Target.
You did an Audible version?
No, I should have though, but I have
You
not.
need to.
I
You
do.
need-
I do.
You can
need
do it
to.
right here on that microphone.
That would be. I've actually been
It's
looking
done.
for a place to do it. That'd be
Done.
perfect. Well, I guess there'll be an audible version pretty soon if you're watching this.
Yeah, if you're watching this, you're gonna have an audible version. Hey, let me show them a picture of what it looks like while you're sitting here.
Okay.
This is it,
there we
folks.
go.
The Greatest Advantage by Tommy Sigman.
That's
Check
me.
it out. Overcoming obstacles from the perspective of a 15-year-old foster child. I mean, dude, that's incredible. Who did the photo?
So the photo was actually my previous foster family, the one I was living with when it was published. Her mom, my foster mom's mom, was a photographer, so she took the photo. And my foster dad's brother or sister-in-law, she was an author and a kind of graphic designer.
Yeah.
And her book is called like The Wall of Crosses, and she's an awesome author.
Awesome.
But she helped me design everything for my
It's
book.
a great. I actually really, ironically, there's in music, we like to make fun of two types of pictures, and that's on railroad tracks and against walls, and brick walls. They have an actual website called the Brickwaller.
That's cool.
.com. We should look at that because it's the funniest brick wall shots ever. It doesn't have anything to do with this podcast, but we're gonna have some fun too.
Yeah, let's do that later.
But
Some
no,
behind the
actually,
scenes.
I was going to say, I mean, as a kid, it's like you're walking this walk, you're going down this journey. I mean, that's the great, you're actually, signifying what you're, symbolizing what your story is. It's about this journey. And so the tracks really do, play a big part in that, to kind of give you that vision.
Thank you. I didn't know it was illegal to take pictures on a railroad track
Yeah.
until it was published.
I did that with my last single, and we got ran off by the cops.
Yeah, I
We're
didn't.
shooting a music video.
I posted my cover on Facebook, and I had people like, "Oh, that's a felony or something," or "That's a huge fine." I didn't want to undo it. It was already
Joe
out
Rogan
there.
lives in Texas, and I think he does things on camera all the time that I don't think are legal.
Yeah,
They ain't arrested him yet.
Yeah.
So I think you're okay.
I think so at this point. I think at this point I'm good.
I told my wife the other day, that's a typical guy thing. Ask for forgiveness, not permission.
That's right.
It's like, so you'll be all right.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Well, so that was around 16 years old when you wrote that?
I was 15 when I wrote
15
it.
when you wrote it, but when it came out, kind of 16
Yes,
era. And then you're now 18. You just took a test to do some insurance agent work here locally in statewide in Louisiana. And what hopefully that rolls in. And what's next as far as like outreach to the community advocacy work? Because that's really what I
Yeah.
see you doing. I see your TikToks. Which I love because you're better at it than I do. I actually probably should hire you to make TikToks for me.
That'd be awesome.
But I see you doing the outreach of positivity and Christian messaging, which is amazing. And you're trying to bring people, who are depressed, to let them know they're not alone. I mean, I've seen a ton of the great messaging. I love that.
Thank you.
Are you going to continue doing that? I mean, are you going to write another book?
So I'm kind of in a new phase right now that I've been in for any other interview or podcast. Because so far, like as my book and kind of me as a brand in a sense, The Greatest Advantage.
Yeah.
Kind of highlights me as a foster child and me as a kid overcoming adversity.
Right.
My brand is like really for young adults or for teenagers or young people that are going through adversity and how to overcome that.
Yeah.
And obviously I'm still very young. I'm 18. I'm a young adult now. But now that I'm 18,
Dude,
and
you're
stuff,
already. I mean, okay, you say that, but you're like a 28-year-old, 18-year-old. I mean,
Thank you.
I've been around a lot of 18-year-olds, and you're nothing like most 18-year-olds.
Yeah.
So, and what you're able to do is lead other 18-year-olds to be more like you, or to at least go after their dreams and follow, no matter what diversity or whatever they've been through. They have, the ability to, to actually to achieve a goal that. Let's go back to the beginning of the book. So, like,
Okay.
what got you to write the book if you didn't want to write a book? Like, did somebody say, hey, you should write a book?
No, I just knew, I had a story that a lot of people related to.
Mm-hmm.
I knew when I was 15, or not even 15, when I was like 12 and 13,
Yeah.
and my whole life really, I felt I was really by myself. I felt like I had a story, or I was walking through a story that, no one ever reached their hand out and said, hey, this is how you get through this. It's going to be okay. This is what you're going to do. This is what you need to keep in mind as you're going through this in order to overcome it. my whole life I was just like, when is this gonna be over? Like, okay, like it felt like my whole life was adversity, you know, because when you're a little kid, you know, my mom and dad separated when I was a baby because they were fighting so badly, and then just throughout my whole entire life, it was moving, new stepdad, new house, new school, across the country, and it was like that my entire life. So my whole life just felt like adversity. I never had stability. I never had like a really good like mentor or role model to look up to or someone to teach me. And I think I knew as I got older, once I finally had a little bit of stability in my life and a little bit of more normality, I kind of realized, you know, that situation that I walked through, that's something that there's so many kids out there in foster care and outside of foster care that the state doesn't even reach that are going through that. So as I got older, I just realized like I have a story that a lot of people relate to, and everyone goes through some form of adversity. Like even if you're not having, you know, parents with in poor conditions or in foster care, like everyone has some form of adversity, whether that's heartbreak or whether that's some form of family trouble or death in their life or something that's going to hit them. So my vision was I wanted a book that could be an outlet for people or something, a guide that people could read and say, okay, this is how I'm gonna think, and this is what I'm gonna apply in order to overcome this. So I just wanted everybody to have that hand, I guess, in a sense that I kind of needed growing up.
That's great. I mean, it's it's scary to think what you said just now about you know, all the kids that the foster system doesn't reach.
Yeah.
I think as adults, we kind of assume that all these kids are, you know, there's the foster system, and then there's people who are taking care of their children.
Yeah.
You know, and there's kind of this, it's happening. It's not black or white. You know, I mean, it's like from a standpoint of there are people that are taking care of their kids and there are people that aren't. But the system doesn't always reach all those kids. Have you thought about how you can help that process at all?
Basically, all I can really do, I'm not going to say all I can do, but the most I can think to do is just to put content out there, to put, you know, a book out there or something that the kids can take for themselves or look on their phone and read, or just watch and inspire them.
And that's what I'm saying. Like that content you're putting out, continue to do that. Continue to, hey, you, if you're out there and, you know, this is what what I went through.
Yeah.
And this is where I found myself at XYZ in my life. If you're somebody like me and you haven't been able to get help, there's help out there.
Yeah.
And so there's ways for someone like you to be an advocate in that world big time.
Absolutely.
And I think in our state we have a huge gap that is needed for people in your world. So I think continue to develop that. And I mean, a book is a great way to get it started. And I think this book that the fact that you've already, my thoughts around it was that you achieved this incredible goal. And as a young man, what an amazing thing to be able to do at your age.
Yeah.
Now it's what was the underlying mission that I didn't see was actually happening in me as a young man. And now how can I take that mission and actually put it to work, because I've got a book that I've written that can help support the early stages of that. And then that proof that I'm actually going to achieve my goals when I put my mind to it will show others why they should support the work that I do in this now future.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know a lot of people, especially at my age, don't really read anymore. And I know having a book is good, but that's not going to reach the majority of the people I actually want it to reach. But what a book does is it creates a leverage to be able to come and do things like this, or do shows or interviews or speaking engagements, and then use that to create content, or just people there in general, which I can then put that out there to actually target the audience that I'm trying to reach.
The other thing you could do is there are partners. There are other people just like you, maybe a little bit more or otherwise connected or have other ideas. I think you should. There's a guy, a country singer named Jimmy Wayne, who was a foster kid who did a walk across America.
That's cool.
And he walked across America and he filmed it, documented it. It took him years. I took him like a year to do, and he'd stop for a few days and do the whole thing. He wrote songs, but he had a big career in country music. But this guy literally now spends his time traveling the country, speaking to audiences, playing music for them, but speaking to them about foster care system. And so there are other people that are advocates in the foster care system that are definitely looking for that next generation of support. And there's also people in other communities, like you come from a, you come from a one side of the spectrum, and there's other sides of the spectrum. You might meet a young man that comes from the black community that is in a whole different system or a whole different situation, and he may be looking for help but doesn't know how to reach it.
Yeah.
And a guy like you has been through it, the good and the bad, which is some of the stuff we talked about, but you also know how to help just the signs.
Absolutely.
And I think when being able to speak to that is very important in front of the public, because we don't know the signs.
Yeah. Yeah, you're definitely right. I go to school sometime and speaking about my book and stuff like that, and it's crazy. It's like the kids that are quiet, or not even the kids that are quiet. Sometimes the kids that are the most energetic, happy kids that all the kids love and stuff. I'll go and speak about my story and give out books and stuff like that, and then you'll see that kid come up to me and be like, "Hey, like my dad beats up my mom," or like, "Hey,
Absolutely.
like the craziest stuff," and all the kids. And sometimes he'll come out in front of the class, and all the kids are like, "Dude, what? Like I could have never even imagined that." And it's crazy to see some of those things.
So I can totally relate to you about being vulnerable and exposing yourself in front of these young people. And what they do is they then feel comfortable that they have this safe space, because you've created this safe space for them to share that and expose that dirty secret that they have going on in their heart. And it's that trauma that they're going through, and being able to release it and purge it, bro, that's powerful.
Absolutely.
Like, I encourage you to continue to share your story, because trauma doesn't discriminate class, creed, race. It happens in all forms, in all areas. So, I mean, my experience as a child, as being sexually abused as a young man, that happened in my circumstances, and we weren't in a at-risk community. In my opinion, we weren't. Maybe we were, and I didn't realize it, but I sure don't feel like we were. And so everyone comes from a different area and a different, and has different trauma. I think everybody's got some form of trauma, and they, some people figure it out. Some people are like Matt over here and become stoics, and some people are like me and go through, addictive behaviors, and then try to turn that into advocacy work. And so, which is, and then like you wrote a book. I mean, I was talking about doing this, maybe doing some conferences in the future myself and putting on conferences. Dude, I would love to have you speak at those conferences.
That would be that'd be incredible.
That's what we need to do, bro. That's what we're building right here on this first podcast. We're building our agenda for the conference and concert that we're going to put on.
That would be amazing. That's always been a dream of mine, because I'm like a big Tony Robbins fan.
Yeah.
And Tony Robbins.
That's what I'm talking with Matt. Dude, it's going to be like, come on, we're going. We're going to have like a workout thing happening. And like they're going to be up front, as they're walking in, it's lights. Pew, 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 and it's going to be laser light shows and hip and happening, and the hip to the hop to the hippity hop to the, it don't stop kind of stuff. It's going to be awesome.
If Matt's involved, then I'm in.
Oh, no, only if Matt's involved, though. I'm just kidding. But no, it's going to be great. I think, but that's where I foresee you and I doing a lot of the same kind of thing, and coming from different worlds. You deliver, you have this ability to capture this already at 15 years old. I mean, man, the sky's the limit, bro.
Absolutely.
I mean, like doing these podcasts, maybe starting your own podcast.
Yeah.
I think there's more than enough metaverse out there for us to have space for people, like yourself to continue. You should definitely consider that, because that could help build your community too of supporters. A podcast, you're doing your own podcast.
Yeah.
And keeping content out there.
So kind of the plan, here's the plan.
Okay.
So the plan is, for you guys that don't know, I went to go take my insurance exam to be certified or licensed and health and life and accident insurance.
Okay.
But I had to retake my exam, or I had to reschedule to go take it because of a long situation I explained earlier.
Oh yeah, we call that bureaucrat. I'm sorry, bureaucracy. That's the right word.
Bureaucracy. But basically, my plan is to get certified in insurance and start developing and building an insurance agency. Because obviously, you need money to really be able to do anything.
Yeah.
And the book and all that's amazing, and the speaking engagements is awesome. But I really want to have money to be able to provide and funnel or be able to support my long-term visions and goals.
Yeah.
So to start getting my business rolling, and then the plan is I kind of haven't been putting out too much content recently. I kind of been like under the I don't know what you call it, but I've kind of just been like under the
radar.
Under the radar a little bit. But not posting out too much content because I've been really trying to spend a lot of time thinking and planning out my next book. And I want my next book to be really focused and directed towards like young men and women and young adults.
Yeah.
And really just inspiring them and empowering them and encouraging them. And I kind of like want my books to be similar to where I am with life. Like when I was 15 and I wrote The Greatest Advantage, I was teaching myself how to overcome adversity. Yeah. And now that I'm 18, it's okay, now that I'm past the adversity, where's my next steps of how do I, because I can't just keep writing books about how to overcome adversity. Now it's like, okay, now once you're past this and once you're past this point, and once you read The Greatest Advantage and you got past it, now it's like, where do you go?
Yeah.
So that's the plan.
Follow your dreams, follow your heart.
Absolutely. So once I start getting ready to take pre-orders, I believe in the next few months, I'm hoping I'll start doing pre-orders by around March or April.
Oh wow, that's soon.
Yeah, so I'm hoping it'll be.
How much is written?
So it's kind of weird for me. Like planning it out is what takes the longest. Like planning it out and figuring out what I want to write about and putting it all in order and having a plan is what takes the hardest because that's like weeks of thinking and brainstorming and like, okay, do I want this to be here?
Right.
And once I start writing and I have the blueprint in front of me, it kind of just flows out. And like my first book, I wrote over half of it in a week because I was just writing and it was just going out.
Yeah.
So
it can happen like that with and once I think it becomes a skill.
Yeah.
That you begin to craft, a craft that you begin to, really learn how to get better at.
Absolutely.
And the more you do it, obviously, the better you're going to be. So it'll be easier to map it out, outline it a little bit, even more as you continue to do more. I think you should continue to write books.
Absolutely.
I think it's obvious that you have the ability to execute and deliver on it. So I think you should do it, continue to do it. And it also gives you product as you go out to do these speaking engagements. And it gives you product as you build a book of business in your insurance business to, hey, I'm also in it, I'm pitching you a policy, but at the same time, or whatever you're doing your insurance job.
Yeah.
But hey, take this book home if you got a kid at home. You got a child at home that you'd like to get off the couch, off of Twitch, and have them stop watching streams.
Yeah.
Teach them how to make streams.
Absolutely. But once I start taking pre-orders, I want to do a really hard marketing social media push.
Yeah.
And really have a really precise content schedule of. But that's the plan basically. So that's what I'm working towards.
So doing that, and you'll learn as you do more of it. And like I said, practitioner is going to make the best for you and give you the best result. Matt, along with myself, we've all put out a lot of ads. Matt's a lot better at it than I am, like everything else he does. But you'll create a plan, and all of a sudden that algorithm will change. It's like, I got to stop that plan. Or Facebook is going to go to metaverse or something, meta or whatever.
Yeah.
Something's going to happen to the next algorithm, or the next big one. But you just keep doing what you're doing. I think the marketing plan is key, and the fact that you are already forward thinking, ahead of time. I think that's what makes you very unique. I think that's what makes you the ability to foresee what a plan, but not just a plan to write the book. See, because you've done it already, so now it's like, oh, I don't just talk about writing a book. I actually have written a book.
Yeah.
And so people can talk a lot of noise, man, but not a lot of 18-year-olds can say they've published a book.
Yeah.
And I mean not a lot at all. Like you're talking maybe, I bet there's a 0.1% in the world. So you're not in the 1%, you're in the 0.1% at 18 years old. So keep using that Gary V mentality that you have, dude. I think it's incredible.
Thank
and
you.
I know you follow him because I know we talk a lot about him before.
Yeah, I'm a big Gary V fan.
Of course.
Gary V, Grant Cardone, Tony Robbins.
I don't like Grant as much as I like Gary V because I think when you're buying a package of how to make millions, I think it's crap. I think when you're talking about how to heal, and you're talking about empathetic leadership, and you're talking about that's what separates. And I like Tony Robbins, but the full court press for me is just a little too much. But hey, it might be what you need.
Yeah.
Like for me, I like to be able to kind of cafeteria style go in and pick and choose. How Gary does. He doesn't send out daily, but Tony Robbins, man, he's full court press. I need a little bit more space, and of course everything has settings.
Yeah, they push hard.
Yeah, so but look, I mean, he's successful, so it obviously works.
I mean, and he's one of the best at conferences in the world.
Right?
People will sell their house to go to Tony Robbins conference. So I
bet Tony Robbins would say that's
seminar.
Not the smartest thing to do.
I've seen a documentary on his conference, and there were people there that like sold their furniture and stuff in order to be able to go to a seminar, because his seminars apparently are like the most life-changing seminar. Like they're thousands and thousands of dollars. But there's like a bunch of celebrities and stuff that go, and apparently they like change your whole life. Apparently. Yeah. But
well, there is a certain the social emotional. There goes those words again. There's a certain individual out there that needs and can't just go onto Google or YouTube and receive it there.
Yeah.
They need to be in the moment, in that experience. They need to feel the room. That's what I believe, happens in a lot of our faith-based situations where you go in that, that feeling when you go into church and music's happening and you're feeling the lights, you're feeling and all of a sudden you just feel really spiritually, you feel like that you're able to open up, like this sort of neurological moment happens. And I think, I think in those conferences, I think that's what's impactful. I think that's why we go from these podcasts or interviews or whatever to those conferences.
Yeah.
And I think I see that as the vision.
Absolutely. That'd be incredible.
Yeah. So
I like it.
Well, man, so I appreciate you being on the first one ever. This has been fun.
I'm excited to be the first guest. Yeah. That's a pretty big honor right there.
It made sense. It made sense. I want to get I do want to get you get a little thoughts from you on what was your experience like this past summer. Kind of give me a rundown on how you felt walking in. You were unsure, or you kind of knew what was happening, but and then how you felt when you left.
Oh, the music program was awesome.
Yeah.
I kind of went into it and I sat down, and there was a bunch of like computers and instruments, and I'm not musically talented. And I was kind of like, what am I doing here? I was like, yeah, I mean, this seems cool. This looks cool, but music's not really my thing. And I had a friend with me, for you guys that are watching, I had a friend that is a musical genius. He plays the drums, piano, guitar, sings. He's like a one-man band.
Oh, yeah, he was talented.
And I was with him, and I was like, what am I doing here? And by the end of it, obviously he was crushing it. But I was like, I feel like I'm a lot farther along now than when I first came in here. And we were just on the computer, and they were teaching me how to produce. I say they, I'm talking to the audience, but you guys were teaching me how to produce and how to edit and how to create. And by the end of it, I was like, this is pretty cool. And I even started learning some, basic concepts of music theory that I just never really understood or knew. And by the end of it, like, I only went to the class for one day, but I felt like I learned a lot. And I feel like if I would have stayed in the class, or if I was to stay in the class for like throughout the summer or for a few weeks or a few months, I feel like I would definitely have a lot more musical talent.
You could sit there and make a record for yourself.
Yeah.
Or just have like background music, create all the things you need in the bed music for your podcast or anything else, in the future. Mm-hmm. It'll give you the basic skills to do any of that media creation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, with someone with no musical talent, at walking in, I was like, what am I doing here? And by the end, I was like, oh, this is really cool. I'm learning a lot.
So that's the musical side of it. Well, what did you feel? Tell me about the feelings. Like, tell me how it made you feel internally. Was there any sort of like like obviously endorphin building because you're in there, you music, like I said, that moment that you can feel the music and you're around all this gear, it makes you feel excited to be around gear. Kind of give me your thoughts on that.
Once I made my beat, I was feeling pretty hype, I had my beat going on and I was
That's it right there. That was the audio clip I needed right there. You just gave it to me. Once I had my beat, I was pretty hype. Wait, say that again.
But yeah, I had a little beat going on, and I was like, dang, maybe I should be a producer, I was about to have a whole career change once my beat was out there.
That's awesome.
I was about to put it on SoundCloud. Promote it, and I was going to promote it through TikTok. And there's even a glimpse, like a part of my brain, I was like, what if I just made this beat and promoted it really hard through TikTok just to see, like, if I wanted to be a beat maker?
That's funny. Well, it's cool because it does give... it gives you a little light at the end of the tunnel to go, hey, I could do that.
It was fun. It was really fun.
Yeah, it was neat. Well, thank you for doing this. Thanks for being on, and we'll do it again. Let's see what the next chapter holds for you. And I think he's going to be on our list of guest speakers at the new conference we're going to be putting on. So don't know when that's going to happen. Have no idea. Literally been thinking about this since I've been doing a bunch of speaking engagements lately.
Yeah.
And I've just been telling Matt we need to make it happen. So where can we find you on social media?
So Instagram or TikTok is the Tommy Sigman. And I have a Facebook page under Tommy Sigman, and it's like I. It's like 2 capital I's. Because I'm the second.
The Tommy Sigman.com?
For my website.
Sorry, so it'd be at the Tommy Sigman?
Yeah. At the Tommy Sigman.
All right, let me get this background not on there, please. That's terrible. There we go. Or maybe I do need a background. I just don't need it to be red. What in the world am I doing, David? Hey, that works.
Oh, there we go,
folks.
That's cool.
At the Tommy Sigman.
And if anyone wants to order a book, they can go to thegreatestadvantage.org.
Okay.
And it's on there, and all the links for my website and to order a book is on my social media as well. So if you go on my social media, you'll see links to my website.
Cool.
And anyone can buy a book for themselves, or they can buy a book for a foster child. So if they buy it, that book will be donated to a social worker or to the foster village, in which it will then be given to a foster kid.
All right, say that one more time because this is really important. If you're listening and you want to support foster child, you can buy this book and donate it directly to a child. So please, if you're listening out there, buy a book. Not only are you supporting my man Tommy right here, who is the product of what foster system can be when you enable people and give them the opportunity, or they take the opportunity upon themselves like he has to step up and make it happen. But you can empower children with this book. That's the point of what his work is. So please buy a book for a foster kid. Do it right now at the Tommy Sigman, or go to
thegreatestadvantage.org
and buy a book for a foster kid. This could change a kid's life. It could change the entire trajectory of their life. This book purchase right now. Appreciate you so much for being here, Tommy. Man,
Thank
you're
you.
my brother. I love you so much.
I love you.
All right, y'all have a great one. Thanks so much for watching the first ever Stories of Survivors, presented to you by Songs of Survivors.